Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of Moloka'i by Ellen Brennert. This is an adult historical fiction novel, and it follows our main character Rachel, who is diagnosed with leprosy at a very young age in 1891. At this time in Hawaii, leprosy was a very big epidemic, and they were trying to quarantine all people who were diagnosed with leprosy. They had people going house to house and trying to basically be bounty hunters and track down people with leprosy. The Hawaiian population at this time was just very susceptible to leprosy. So there are people that are being quarantined in various colonies, and Moloka'i is one island where they would send people with leprosy. Rachel is diagnosed at the age of 7, so we follow primarily her story, but we also get different stories following people in her family, as well as people that she comes in contact with, and everything throughout her lifetime. So this is a book that's been recommended to me by my dad numerous times, and I was always very hesitant to pick it up because I wasn't sure that I wanted to really read a story about leprosy and about this kind of epidemic and everything like that, but it ended up being less about leprosy and more just about life and family, and it was so much better than I expected, and I'm so happy that I finally gave this a shot. As far as the world building of the story, since this is a historical novel, I thought this was executed very well in this story. I knew nothing about Hawaii and Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian history. I didn't know things like how Hawaii eventually became a part of the United States and how much there was turmoil there with that, and even anything about the leprosy epidemic that was in Hawaii, and how, again, as we know from the United States and what has happened with colonization in the United States, as soon as white people came over to Hawaii, they brought all their diseases and they brought leprosy over, and the Hawaiian people did not have the immune system to withstand that, so there was a huge outbreak of leprosy within Hawaii, and they didn't know how to handle it as a government, and that whole kind of misstep was interesting to follow, and how that affected the people, as well as this all happening around the time of a lot of political turmoil. The author also uses a lot of Hawaiian mythology as well as Hawaiian words to kind of give you a sense of the culture, how they speak and how they think, and how their religion and their culture is based. I really enjoyed a lot of the Hawaiian myth elements. The topic of religion is touched on a lot in here, as far as Western religion versus a more Eastern religion, even though Hawaii is technically a part of the Western world. We do have this kind of Eastern influence on Hawaii, and all of their different myths were really fascinating to learn about within this as well. As far as the characters, I grew to love Rachel so much throughout the story. We get so much of her life and other people that are affecting her life, and I just loved her. I didn't realize until the end of the story how attached I was to her, and I genuinely still miss her and the characters in this story and the different people she comes in contact with. So not only do we get Rachel's story, but we also get stories from people on the island, from her family, stuff like that. So you get to see these different characters and really grow with them over a lifetime, and it's really moving. You have times where you're like, oh, this story's kind of slow, but ultimately you are learning so much about these people and about how everyone's interacting and their backstories and how they're affecting their people. And I genuinely cried numerous times in this story because I was so attached to these characters, and you spend so much time with them, even though it's not like every single year is covered within this story or every single day-to-day activity. You get all of these ups and downs of these people and of this family most specifically, and of the people that Rachel comes in contact with, and you get to see even little minor characters, their ups and downs and their tragedies and their happiness, and it is so moving. Like I said, I am not a big crier in books. I'm genuinely not a big crier, but I cried numerous times in this book just because I was either happy or sad or whatever. I was feeling the emotions the characters were feeling. The characters in here were so complex and flawed, and I deeply enjoyed learning their stories and growing with them throughout the story. As far as the plot, this is a slower novel. There are different plot points that happen that you kind of follow throughout her lifetime, but mostly you are just following her life and her ups and downs, as well as the lives and the ups and downs of the people around her, and ultimately that is what motivates you to keep picking this up. I didn't think this was slow in the way that it was boring. There were just times that I was like, oh, it's a little bit slower. I still wanted to pick it up. I still missed the characters when I put it down, and I still kept reading because I wanted to know how all their stories wrapped up. So while I was reading this, I was struggling with what was I going to rate it. I wasn't sure. I was kind of sitting at like 4 stars, and then when I ultimately finished the story, I knew I had to give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved the characters, as I've already expressed. I love the themes that were explored as far as religion and what that means, and culture and family, and everything that was really explored within this. Love. It was just a beautiful story, and one that I feel I could reread again and learn even more from. I just deeply enjoyed all these characters and the story and the history and everything I learned from this. This is a story that is really going to stick with me and that I feel I genuinely learned something from, and that ultimately is what makes a 5-star read for me. So comment down below and let me know if you have read Moloka'i and if you enjoyed it. I know that this author also has a couple other novels, I think also set in Hawaii, so if you have read those, let me know if you liked those as well. Also, I've come to the conclusion after reading this book that I enjoy books like this that follow a family. They're kind of family sagas or follow a larger cast of characters outside of just the one primary character, that you also had these stories of other characters mixed in with that as well. That was very common in The Night Circus, as well as The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, as well as this one. So I don't know the actual name for that genre, but if you guys know, besides Family Saga, if there's a name for that kind of following multiple connecting characters storylines, like if there's an actual name for that, let me know. And if you have any books that kind of follow that same kind of thing, let me know. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!